We used to come all the time when we lived downtown, and Olivia went to school right here in Boston Edison at University Prep. It's like probably a couple minutes from here, but we were driving around and we saw it, and then Alexa started coming here for breakfast, and
Really?
yeah, she used to come like multiple times a week.
No kidding.
Yeah. I'm Jalen Reeves-Maybin. I'll start where I was born, January 1995, in Clarksville, Tennessee, which is pretty much a military town. It's, if you know, Fort Campbell Army Base is essentially connected to Clarksville. So pretty much everyone I know or that grew up in Clarksville got there because their parents or grandparents were military. And both my grandfathers were in the military. So that's kind of how my family got there. And my mom's side of my family were born and raised in Clarksville. Aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone's there. I go through the city and there's always someone I'm related to. And then my dad's family is from Asheville, North Carolina. So mountain people, they were kind of in Asheville before it's blown up to like this huge destination that it is now. So growing up, we would travel there a lot, and I had to get a good split of time with my mom's family and then my dad's side of my family. So
There's a famous song in my era, The Monkees.
yeah, Last Train to Clarksville.
Exactly.
Yep.
Did they talk about that at all?
People don't talk about it, but like yourself, I kind of like history, so I was the kid. I always like Google Clarksville and just like see what pops up, and that would always be like the most famous thing. And growing up, I still do this, but go to a place and just look up on Wikipedia notable people. So that was, or like notable events, and that was always the thing that popped up. And I always wanted to be on the notable people list from Clarksville.
Look it up here in Wikipedia, and ironically, there is a name that's an array of Acuff. There's Pat Summit.
Mm-hmm.
There's significant people,
Mm-hmm.
and Jalen's name is on there. And have
Yep.
you seen that?
Yep, I have. I don't know the last time I looked, but I don't know. I guess it's a stupid stat, but like that's something that you see as a kid. Like it's kind of a goal to be on there, and it's cool that I'm on there now.
So, growing up in Clarksville, was University of Tennessee Volunteers, was that your team? So
it wasn't necessarily my team growing up. I appreciated them, but I wasn't like a diehard Vols fan growing up. And honestly, I think, when I got to high school and I started getting recruited, it was the first trip I took. And honestly, like from the moment I went there, I kind of fell in love with it, and I knew it was the place. But really where it was pretty cemented for me, I had a mentor at the time, and he had played at Tennessee also. He was from Nashville, and I was talking to him about Tennessee and like why he went and why he chose it. And he said something that really resonated with me, and he talked about how, his whole life, wherever he was from or what team he was on, he really wanted to represent that. Like he always was, I'm from Nashville, I'm from, his high school was Pearl Cone, like, Pearl Cone could do no wrong, like that's who I'm with. And he said that it was like a natural transition to be like from Tennessee and go to Tennessee. And once he said that to me, I was like, it resonated with me, and I knew that was the exact feeling I had. And I always had like school pride growing up, and going to I played baseball and football, but going to the basketball games, going to softball games, or just supporting the school as a whole was always something that meant something to me. And it was definitely the next natural step to go to Tennessee.
So is your house decorated in orange?
No, it's not decorated in orange. I probably have a lot more orange than the average person. I do have a room with an orange rug in it right now, which I don't think people would typically do. But I do appreciate the color orange, and I find ways to use it more than the average person. And it's funny, like, obviously it's a loud color and it's bright and everyone sees it, but it really started to hit home because when we're on campus, everyone's wearing orange. You wear orange everything. You wear orange pants and orange hoodie, and it's everyone has it on, so it's normal. But my wife went to Kentucky, so when I would go see her, it's about 2.5 hours. I would go her, and I would leave class, get on the road and drive, and I would be wearing orange pants. Then I get to Kentucky and there's nothing but blue around. I'm looking around and I'm like, I look ridiculous out here. You just stick out so much. So
How did you meet your wife?
We went to high school together.
Okay.
So yeah, she moved around a little bit, but she was in Clarksville from, I think, the time she was in 4th grade maybe, throughout, and lived on the same side of town and went to high school together. So
Before we get into your extensive, career, the idea of Fort Campbell, military, Clarksville, your family being in the military, do you suspect that has had an impact on your leadership skills?
I think more so in an indirect way. I think what it produced of my grandparents, particularly my dad's dad and my dad, I think that the military produced in them kind of got transferred to me. So I definitely think that plays a part. Yeah, I would say that's the bigger part. But I would attribute my leadership and I would attribute that more to probably my parents and just a little bit of my natural inclination as a person. Probably just the balance of my mom and my dad. They're pretty unique and they're not really similar, I don't think. But I think I have kind of both of their parts, and I think it's pretty evident how it's created me.
Let's talk about your mom and dad. This is for the camera.
Okay, yeah.
Ultimately, at some point, your kids will look at this and they'll say,
Yeah.
huh.
All right, so my mom and my dad, they had me very young. They had me in high school. My dad played basketball. My dad was a basketball star in my hometown. My mom played basketball also, but my dad went on to play at Louisville. He was a star player there.
Denny Crum.
Yep, played for Denny Crum. My dad's senior year was Coach Crum's last year, so he got the end of Coach Crum's era, and they had me young, so I went to my dad's basketball games in college. I remember taking the trips. I remember being in the stadium. I remember meeting Coach Crum and him and his balled up newspaper on the sideline, and I'm 3 or 4, and that image of him with the paper is ingrained in my head. So I had just a unique experience in that way. And my mom, she stayed in Clarksville, raised me. While I've been alive, they've never been together, but they have a great relationship. Talk to them both all the time, and they talk to each other, but they were not, I never lived in the house with my dad. So pretty much just me and my mom growing up, and she's a hairdresser, so she's done that my entire life, and I think she's kind of had an incredible journey, and I think she produced a great son. I'm an only child, so maybe that made it easier or harder. I guess that's a question for her to answer, but pretty different upbringings. My dad came up military, so he moved all around the world. Kind of lived in Germany as a kid, Texas, California, North Carolina, Tennessee, and then after he played college basketball, he played in Lebanon and France for a little bit, and then my mom was always in Clarksville. So my mom grew up in government housing in the projects. She has a sister that grew up with her, just a single mom, pretty much. So that's how she grew up, and she played basketball in high school, and then kind of figured out her way and became a hairdresser, and she's pretty much done that my whole life. So
does it amaze you? I mean, you look at your pedigree and some of your cousins.
Cameron.
Cameron.
Yep.
I should know that. Amy, we just met. Knows Cameron through the Tigers.
Oh yeah, wow.
Amy was assistant general counsel for the Tigers for many years.
Oh wow, nice.
Small world. I digress. But was sports ingrained in your family?
Yeah, it was definitely ingrained. So my dad's side is probably where I get most of it from. My dad was a great athlete. My granddad played college football at Appalachian State. My cousin played in the MLB. And then beyond that, I had cousins who I didn't even know. I had more cousins that played in the NFL, and just extended family was just a really good gene pool, I guess. And my granddad, he was kind of a wild one, and they grew up in the mountains, so they were always walking up hills. Grew up on tight streets, so playing outside. He had 4 brothers, so That was, he always had that, and then my dad had it, and I guess I kind of had it too. But the interesting part is like my dad and my granddad never really pushed sport on me like that. Like I think once they saw how serious I was, they would help me out, and my granddad would go out and play catch all the time, and go to the courts. And my granddad's still very active, and still plays basketball to this day.
Really?
Yeah. So like his workout he does is he plays full court basketball by himself. So he dribbles up the court, takes a shot. If he makes it, he goes back down to the other end. If he misses, he gets it, lays it up, and just plays against himself full court. So that's always been his workout. So yeah, we've always had that, and yeah, they always like told me what it would take to make it, but they never really harped on it, never pushed me really, but they always supported me. But yeah, it's just something that I guess I leaned into young, and probably from just seeing my family, my dad, their athletic ability probably just made me want to be more like them. My great grandmother, so my granddad's mom, she had she was the big mama in the family, and I remember she lived in Asheville. So whenever we were growing up and we would go to Asheville, everyone, the whole family's house, everyone had their trophies at her house. So like that was the decoration of the house, essentially, was everyone's trophies. And it was my dad's and my granddad's and my uncles, and college awards, or at the time it was probably participation trophies, but I always saw it like MVP of this, player of the year, most important. This, like every time I took a family trip, I was walking into this house with all these trophies. And I think that probably was ingrained in me, and probably what gave me like a real spark for like I need to like try to get my trophy in here one day.
Well, in high school, you were incredibly accomplished, especially football player.
Yeah.
But it's not in the area you are now. You're a quarterback.
So, yeah, I played quarterback, and I think I'm just a product of a lot of good luck. Honestly, I think it takes a lot of luck to make it. It's hard work, but the luck has to be there also. And it's funny, I tell this story. So I have a good friend who, he's 2 years older than me, but he had a brother in my class. So me and his brother always played sports together. We weren't that close. We were cool, but so growing up, like played running back and linebacker, and play quarterback, and you play everything. And when I got to high school, there was me and another kid who both played quarterback. We were both freshmen, and we were doing we were in the weight room. This is our freshman year, and we have like this huge circuit going around. Like you go from bench press to curls, and then from curls to shrugs, and it's the whole football team's in the weight room, summer workouts. And so our coach explains this huge rotation, like when to start, when to go, when to rest, where do you go next, and he explains it all. And then he says like, all right, I need someone to explain it. Like, give me what young quarterback can explain it. And some of the people were like saying this other kid's name, like they thought he was the young quarterback that would be the person. And my friend Keith, he was like, he basically just stands up like, he's like, no. He's like, hell no, Jalen, explain it. And I'm like, dude, why? I'm like, I don't even want to play quarterback right now. Just because at the time, like, I didn't think I would be a freshman and be able to, be the quarterback. So I'm like, all right. And I just explained the drill. And I think I kind of surprised people, but I thought it was pretty simple. But I explained the drill or whatever, and they were like, oh, okay, like, good job. And I thought that was like the first show of confidence someone had in me in high school. It was like, no, and Keith, he wasn't like the star of the team or anything, but he had just watched me grow up and play with his brother, and I guess he believed in me, and just was like, no, Jalen's explaining the drill. He's our quarterback.
Well, then you became the quarterback, and I mean, you had 3 huge years.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. I always liked the game, and I always knew I was a defensive player from a very young age. Like I liked defense, I liked playing linebacker, I liked that aspect of the game, but I was always willing to learn. So my freshman year, I went to the season, I started the first 2 games, maybe 3 games. I didn't play that well, but I was a freshman, figuring it out. And so then I got benched, and then later on in the year, I would kind of come in and play a little bit spot start, and then after that, I kind of took on the position full time and really took off. But I think I had a good athleticism, but I was always like a top player on my team. But like growing up, I was not just the one. I wasn't that kid's gonna make it regardless. Through like youth and middle school, I wasn't that person. But I think really from my sophomore year, I really hung out with a lot of the seniors, like the older guys. The guys 2 years above me were like my closest friends, and they had a really good class. So I was a quarterback, but I was really just giving the ball to everyone else and learn. I was like smart enough to learn it, and like I took it serious. So really my job was to like not mess up the game and like make sure everyone else is shining. And then I think after that I really started to take training serious, and I think I took like a new step in my like athleticism and speed and explosiveness, and I think that's where I really started to become a true prospect.
Yeah, reading from the source of all knowledge, the Wikipedia.
Yeah.
You contributed to the team on offense as a quarterback. You gained more than 2,000 rushing yards as a senior, including 1,000 yards and 3,000 yards, 3 postseason games with more than 300 yards in each game. That's unbelievable. All state, everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a fun journey. So
did you play both ways?
I did. So my sophomore year, mostly quarterback, and I would play defense here and there. My junior year and senior year, I played defense. I played both ways.
60 minutes.
Yeah, I played both ways, and like I always enjoyed playing defense more. I think my junior year, I was definitely on the very much like hunger to make it, hunger to like prove myself, and I also think it takes a lot of ego. Like, I'm looking at all these other people, and I'm just trying to chase. Like, I'm trying to be the best, and I'm trying to chase all these other people who have the status. And then my senior year, by the time I got to senior year, I was committed to Tennessee. I had offers. I was comfortable, and I still wanted to be great, but like, I wanted to see my team do just as good. So like, I just want to go as far in the playoffs as we can. And so I tore my labrum probably like week 7 or 8 in my senior year, and so I couldn't throw a ball. And so we finished like the last 2 games, and I think maybe the last game I didn't play. Game before that, I was just like in and out. I like played a couple games playing receiver. I couldn't throw the ball, so we would do unique stuff. Like our backup quarterback was a really good athlete too. He ended up going to University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, but we would just both be in the backfield, and if it was a pass play, like I would just step to the right and play running back, and he would play quarterback. So we figured it out, but it was definitely fun times. Like my senior year, I had great playoffs, and I remember this is a trait that wasn't the first time I really noticed it, but it really hit home. Is I remember my senior year, we had lost our last playoff game, and it was extremely sad, but I remember like smiling after it, because I was just like, the journey we just all been on, and like the 4 years I've taken, like I've appreciated it so much, and like I really wasn't mad about it. I was just like, man, it was a credible run, and I know like our team do what it took. Like we maxed out ourselves, and we didn't make it, but I was proud of that. And I think that's one thing that's kind of stuck with me throughout my life, is as long as I feel good about like the effort and the work put in to get to whatever situation, whether it's like on or off the field, if I know I did, with a kind of a clear conscience, and I don't have regrets, it's like I'm okay with the outcomes that come with it.
And University of Tennessee, Butch Jones, right?
Yep. Butch.
What was he like?
Butch is great. I have a really good relationship with him now. Butch's opinion that'll differ from person to person, but I think he was a great coach, and I learned a lot from him. And I always played special teams, but he was definitely like ingrained it in me, that not just me, but our whole team, of like the importance and the value of special teams. And I would attribute that to some of my luck of having a coach like that also, who didn't let that fall to the backside, or like only cared about what you could do on defense, because I've been fortunate enough to make a great life for myself, really, from playing special teams. And
you have. I mean, you've been a Pro Bowl selection as
Yeah.
a special team. What if you had to instruct somebody or do a continuing education program to say special teams? I know I grew up. Buffalo had Marv Levy,
Yep.
Coach Levy, and that was foremost. I mean,
Yeah.
he was a special teams coach. He spent time on it. But not everybody does or even understands it. So what makes it distinctive? I mean, what makes you a...
Well, I think for me, like, I would describe people who like special teams as like more so like a purist of the game. Like, I think it takes in all the aspects of football. There's blocking, there's catching, there's tackling, there's offense, there's defense. So it's like, it's funny, when I was growing up, like I would watch all type of players. Like, I played quarterback, but I would watch O-line, I would watch running backs, I would watch receivers, and I would just try to learn from as much as I can. So I can literally say that me watching people play O-line helped me play special teams, because like on punt I'm protecting, and like I got to figure out how to take a set and to stop a rusher from getting to a spot. And for O-linemen, they're trying to stop them from getting a sack, but for me, I'm just trying to make sure they don't block the punt. And I just always knew the level of importance, and I took it serious. So I think people who really enjoy the game, enjoy football, all aspects, really put in the special teams. And then I think there are a lot of people who just like what comes with the game. They like the flash. They like, making just, everyone likes making big plays, but that's what really gets them going. It's just the big play, or scoring a touchdown, or a big hit. And it's not to say like that's wrong. There's NFL coaches who they don't value special teams. Like they want to score points, they want to play offense, and they don't really factor in the special teams. Or GMs who don't really, they build their roster and they just look at what you can do on offense or defense, and then they say, well, if you're not starting, you're on special teams. And part of my luck that I've continued with is just I came into a team that values special teams through coaching changes, through GM changes. I've always been on teams that have valued special teams. So,
aside from the fact you're special teams extraordinaire, and again, I'm from Buffalo. Our guy who is extraordinary is a guy named Steve Tasker.
Yep, he's the guy.
He's the guy. So we still can't quite figure out why he's not in the Hall of Fame, but he's at that level. And you're that here. You've been in Detroit, otherwise. But you had to have something more. I mean, this is not just being a special team.
Yeah. So I think I've been I'm very honest. I think I've probably, in total, I would say I have good linebacker traits. I haven't had like a super productive linebacker career, but my college linebacker coach always said the two traits were smart and tough. And I think that's mostly what I brought to it. I think I've also had ability I'm an undersized linebacker, so never was the biggest, never was the strongest. I'm really not that fast, but I have good quickness and good toughness. And I think some of those traits show up on the field a lot. And I have pretty good instincts where like some stuff is, it's not that I'm the smartest guy. It's just like, for some reason, I understand how to get through a gap, or I understand like, if a running back's gonna break, how to cover it. And I've had that in the, at least enough capacity for people to keep me around, and I think that's keeping me around. And I really only truly, I would say, been a starter 1 year. That was 2021, Coach Campbell's first year here. Yeah. And I had a really good year. I was able to get a contract after that, and yeah, I think that's been my big share of defense. But I think I would say the other traits have definitely kept me in the league more. Just being a guy likable in the locker room, a guy coaches can count on, coming to work every day, being available. Haven't had a lot of injuries that have caused me to miss time, or I've taken it serious enough to where coaches don't feel like I ever am an issue, in the locker room or to the team. So I would say that's what's kept me in the league.
You're a Pro Bowl selection as a special team guy.
Yeah.
That's remarkable.
Yeah, it's really hard to do. Yeah, really hard to do. There's only one on, one in the AFC, one in the NFC each year. So I tried for, once I kind of saw early on in my career, I was like, okay, I'm going to make it on special teams. I mean, my thing. I always wanted to shoot forward, and the guys, the guys who play special teams, that whoever the special teams guy on their teams, they always view the you probably know it, the sports reference tracking where you can look at the stats. And then there's a tracker that has special teams tackles. So like the guys who are up there every year, like we're checking it every week. Like, we're watching special teams plays. Like I'm watching to make sure some guy who's at the top, like he cannot get any tackles today. I need him to have a 0 today. And you're like, okay, this is a week. I can get 3. I can get 4. And the top guys usually have, for a while, when we've changed the kickoff now, but for a while the top guys will be 17, 18 tackles. And it's like, there's 17 games. It's like you're fighting for just 17 opportunities to make a tackle, and that makes you the top guy. So everything matters. And when you miss a tackle, or you could have did one thing different just to get on the pile, and they give you a half, it's like the drive just to get one tackle on special teams is so high and it's so intense. And it's something that people really like and they dive into, or others, they don't like it, and they feel like that job is beneath them, or they should be playing linebacker or whatever position over someone. And a lot of times it works out, and those guys end up not having a long career, even though there are guys who've been better than me at linebacker, but they don't, they're not the starter, and they don't really bring the value anywhere else. So.
Well, that's the key, is you bring such great value. I mean, because I recall you're the captain of the special teams, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've had I think I've been a 3-time captain. It's funny, like, I haven't won a Super Bowl, but honestly,
you're at the Bills. So
yeah. Like, people will talk about the regrets they had in their career, and like I have probably the most odd regrets. Like, and it's not even regrets; it's things I wish I could have accomplished. One is I wish I would have played at LSU in a night game in college. I never got to play there. I wish I did. 2 is probably I always wanted. So you have the captain's patch, and then you get stars for every year. And then when you get to 4 or 5 stars, your patch becomes gold. And it always makes me mad that I never got a gold patch. Like that's one thing I wish I could have accomplished, is to have a gold patch.
Through this process, when you got, just walk me through the draft process. You had a distinguished career at University of Tennessee. Obviously, the draft comes. You decide to go into the draft. Was it a year early?
No.
No, you were right on
Senior year. Yep.
Did you have a sense who was going to pick you up?
A little bit. The teams that are interested. So going to the draft, my senior year, I really didn't play. I tore my labrum twice my senior year. So I played I tore my labrum in spring practice. So I had surgery in like March or April. Then I played week 1. So I played, started off the game good. Got kicked out of the first game for a helmet-to-helmet hit on special teams, like the first quarter. So I got kicked out of the game. The second game, I had a decent game. We played Virginia Tech in the Bristol Speedway.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it was crazy. Like, we had the infield, and there was like 180. I don't know what the official count was, but I think it was like 160,000 people, and probably another 100,000 outside. It was insane. So I played in that game, and then third game I tore my labrum again. So I really didn't have a great senior year, and we had just had Olivia, so she was here. So I basically spent that time rehabbing and preparing for the draft. So I had a lot of question marks on my health status, and I did some stuff at the combine. I didn't do like testing, but I did the field work drills and had my pro day and stuff. But yeah, I definitely, Detroit was a team who showed interest in me. They drafted me, but they were a team who showed interest, and I thought they could be, a team that drafted me, but they drafted another linebacker in the first round also. So when they drafted a linebacker in the first round, I'm like, okay, that's gone.
Were you watching it? I mean, were you?
Yeah. Well, I knew I wasn't going in the first round.
Yeah.
I thought there was a chance I could be. I thought I was probably going third or fourth round. There was a chance I could be a second round, but So first round, I'm just watching, just to watch. Second round, I'm like, okay, maybe. Third, fourth round, I'm watching like, okay, when's it gonna come? But it's one day for round one. Second day is 2 and 3. So when third day starts, I'm like, okay, like it's a long day, so it's pretty nerve wracking. But yeah, I was excited for it.
Did they call you ahead of time?
Yeah, they called me like maybe a couple minutes before. I believe Bob Quinn called, and let me know they were gonna pick me, and I was pretty excited. I was just sitting in the garage in my house back home in Clarksville, so it was a good day.
Coach at the time was Jim Caldwell.
Yep.
And so you played with the Lions 3 years?
No, so I played 5 years.
So 5 years, first time.
Yep. Then I left for 1 year. I came back for 2.
Okay.
And then this past year was Chicago. So.
Got it. Just got to ask you, Chicago, the game, I watched on TV when Williams hit that unbelievable last second.
Yeah.
Did you ever think that was even humanly possible?
No, I was pretty amazed by it, and I mean, obviously I'm not an NFL quarterback, but I still think I have a quarterback eye sometimes, and just seeing him run backwards and try to create, and by time it was like, it's just that was kind of when I speak to like that instincts and that intuitiveness. It's like he's played this game so long, and he's aware of what he's capable of, and like that stuff you just can't coach. And like the amount of the stuff he had to process in that time, like it's just like high level calculations, and you're not even really thinking about it, but the thoughts come through your head. You're not trying to think about it. It just races through your brain, and you have to process it so fast. And for him to process the rushers, the situation, seeing like looks down the field, sees someone, okay, that's a good matchup. I have my biggest guy on their smaller guy. Like, okay, now where do I have to put the ball? I've ran back 30 yards. And my orientation is just so different from where it started. And yeah, it's just part of the beauty of the game. It's why it's the best sport.
Well, again, and of course, when you're watching it just on TV, all of a sudden it seems wide open until you see the play beforehand, where there's a lot of hand jostling between the end and or the back and the defensive player.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was one for the ages. What's your impression of the Danes?
One of the most incredible people I've ever known. Extremely honest, very, very emotionally aware. Like the ability to change the emotion of a room like no one I've ever seen. For like to make it joyful or to make it like really serious. And like team meetings, you kind of never know what to expect. In a good way though. Like sometimes you could be riding high. Like we were going 8-game winning streaks, and then he comes in and like rips everyone right away, and like it's just to lock us in. Or when everyone's kind of sad, he comes in like with the biggest smile on his face, and a completely changed the mood, and just had an incredible sense for people. I think kind of where I connect with him a little bit is like he uses his emotion. I know a lot of times people tend to say if you're emotional, it's not a great thing, but I think he uses it to his advantage, and I think it's just part of the realness. Like I love to live life with some emotion, and I don't really like to be devoid of that, and I think he does a great job of using it. Now some people don't like it; they might think he's overly emotional, or they might not like. They think he makes emotional decisions, but it's who he is, and he's honest about it, and he tells you why he approaches it that way. And I think like I've seen Coach do an interview one time, and it's probably something that resonates with me as far as my leadership. Is he said someone was asking him about his speeches, or when he cries, or when he has these passionate monologues or whatever, and he's like, I can't just like cry on cue. But he talked about like essentially when he was younger in life, he remembers being in high school, and like there was something going on, and he didn't agree with it, or he felt like he had to say something. He was just like, I just had this burning feeling inside. It's like I literally could not sit in my seat and not speak or say something about, whatever the situation was. And I think sometimes I have that where, a lot of people, you could be in a room with 100 people and they could all be thinking the same thing, but, sometimes people don't have that inclination or that willingness to speak up. And it doesn't make them soft or a bad person or, complicit, but it's just, some people don't have that. And then some people like Dan, or I think I have it myself, is like when some things get to a certain point where you just have to you're just going to be willing to kind of risk yourself or your reputation or how people might judge you, but you have to get it out of you. It's like, I don't know.
You are a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you attribute the skill set to be a leader? I mean, aside from the team, one of the reasons I suspect you were a special teams guy and kept
Mm-hmm.
with the Lions, and you talk about inside the clubhouse, inside the locker room,
Yeah.
people who do that. You're one of those people. Where do you get those set?
So I would say this is, well, I guess we're kind of talking about like the military and stuff. I would say the biggest contributors are my granddad was a pilot, and they lived all over. My dad always talked to me. They both always talked to me about people and places. So from a young age, I was always very curious of people, where they're from, their upbringing, why they are the way they are, why they talk how they talk, why they think how they think. And I think that curiosity has always led me to wanting to get to know people, and a pretty, openness of all people. I think being a military town, my area was pretty diverse. We had, black, white, Hispanic, Asians, and kind of like everyone's there through military. So it's not like a legacy. It's not a good old boys place, or like, it's not just one group of people lives on this side of town. It's pretty diverse. So I think those played big traits. Also, I would say I think me being an only child led to me appreciating like the bond and the brotherhood more. I didn't, like, my dad wasn't in the house with me. I didn't have a brother. So I think I just always appreciated that like companionship. And then I think for like more so my softer skills probably came from my mom's side. Like, our family was always really close, and weekend dinners, and when I say family, I'm saying aunts, uncles, cousins. So I think just like the connection and the emotional attachment to people like probably came from there. And I would just say the willingness to speak up is probably, so when I was younger, when I used to get in trouble, my mom would make me write out what I did, write out an apology, basically write a paper on what I'm going to do, and she would make me stand on the stair and say it. So I just had grown up, and it was extremely uncomfortable, but I would have to do it. And honestly, now, like, when I stand up and speak, people like to hear me talk, and I'm always like, I'm so uncomfortable, and I'm sweating bullets when I do it. But I think I have just a willingness, like, okay, I'm gonna go up here, I'm gonna be uncomfortable. I'm not gonna talk like incredibly proper like people expect. I'm not gonna, read off a script. I'm just go up here, be uncomfortable for this 5 or 10 minutes, and I'm gonna get my point across. So I would say those things, I think, are really what kind of led to me, my leadership traits or attributes, or at least my willingness to be a leader. And then beyond that, I think just a history of people putting me in that position and wanting me to be in that position. I don't really think I go in like trying to be the leader. It just always seems to happen that when times call for it, I'm in that position.
You are currently the president of the National Football League Players Association,
Mm-hmm.
which for the camera is part of a member of the AFL-CIO, and incredibly powerful union. Were you the representative from the Lions, and then is that how they got this?
So I was never the primary representative. So every NFL team has one voting representative, so they vote for the locker room, and they have 3 alternates. So I believe I was an alternate with the Lions, but when I was there in my first 5 years, we had a lot of turnover, and so by my year 5, I was like the second or third longest tenure guy on the team. And as we started to go through like a new CBA negotiation, and then like the whole COVID, everything that was going on with COVID, I started to really get involved and like really just trying to understand what's the landscape, what's possible, what's going to happen, how should I vote on the CBA. And I found myself just really connecting and communicating with guys about what was going on. It interests me. So I would say that's when I really started to dive deeper and from a PA standpoint. And before that, like I was involved with like some of the social justice stuff throughout my time in the league and kneeling for the flag, and there was other stuff that happened during my time. And I would always speak up, and I think guys just always respected my ability to speak for the group, or to represent the thoughts. And so no, I was an alternate, and then in 2022, I believe, someone suggested that I try to be on the executive committee of the PA. So, we have a big rep, player board rep meetings every year. So I went, and I just, when you go to be on the executive committee, you just stand up there, give a 2-minute, 3-minute speech of why you should be on. So I stood on stage and I gave 2 minutes of why I think I would be a good executive committee member. I was elected on, and then I was on that for 2 years. And then our previous president was rolling off, and he had approached me and said he thought that I should run to be president. And I was really like, no, someone else should do it. And then eventually I decided to run, and just kind of went through a process similar to last. Like I did maybe like a 5-minute speech on, what I'll bring as president, why they should elect me, and then had to do like little roundtable discussions with different groups, and they just like polled me and quizzed me, asked questions on, why they should select me, and they eventually elected me. So
Why should they select you?
My speech was like our previous president was a Cornell graduate who majored in labor relations, and I just went up there and I was just like, listen, I didn't go to Cornell. I'm not like I don't have run a business. I don't have a foundation. I'm not like some big community leader, but I've always been the guy that stands up and speaks for my locker room. I'm a guy that's gonna like fight for you and have your back. And I got involved with the PA because I didn't want to be just a guy complaining about what is or isn't happening. I want to be part of the change. And so if you want a guy that's gonna have your back when times get tough, and I told him like, I'm uncomfortable up here right now. So like, if you want a guy I'm willing to be uncomfortable for you, but my number one trait is like, I'm gonna have your back and I'm gonna fight for what's right. And that was essentially my speech, and they selected me.
And they reelected you.
Yep. Yeah, I think, the last year or so has really been a mess in the PA. That's probably a conversation for another day, but it was a lot. It was very, very challenging time. Probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life has been like the last 8 months or so in the PA, when we had a turnover, and we had to select a new executive director. And I think the guys appreciated the way I approached it and the way I communicated with them and just handled the situation as a whole. So they reelected me.
J.C. Treader is your new ED, right?
Yep. He's a New York guy.
Yep. Well, you in a long line of player presidents: Kyle Rote, Pete Retzlaff, Mike Pyle, John Mackey, Jack Kemp, my guy in Buffalo. Mm-hmm. John Mackey mentioned, Bill Curry, Gene Upshaw. Drop a few names here, and you, Troy Vincent too.
Yep.
Wow, that's heady company.
Yeah, I think I probably have the lowest profile of all the guys, at least for like the last 30 years or so.
But they reelected you.
Yeah, I always say take this as a point of pride, but I'm pretty sure I don't think I missed anyone, but I went back and looked at all the presidents for me, and I think I've made the least amount of contract money for like the last 30 years. So like Trace Armstrong in the 90s made more money than I made in 2024 whenever I was elected. So I either say it's either really good or really bad. Like either no one wants to do the job, now they're just getting any guy off the street like me, or it really just shows that like I was able to gain a lot of influence from a relatively, small post. Or I'm not really like a household star player or anything, and I kind of take that as a point of pride, but maybe it's a sign of weakness for the
I
youth.
don't think so. No. It's a sign of your leadership skills, and it's obviously worked its way through from. I just find this remarkable. You're remarkable because special teams. You're not the marquee quarterback. You're not the marquee halfback or the 10-time All-Pro end. Jerry Rice, that type of stuff. But you've risen to be respected by your peers. That's a point of pride.
Yeah, no, I love that, and that's kind of where I lay my hat. Like, I think the media always wants someone who's like very kind of in tune, or like, favors them, and wants someone they can like, pump up. And I think people struggle to read me. It's pretty hard to label me, and I think I break a lot of molds or typical characteristics. But like I said, like the players elected me, and I'm always going to like, that's who my duty's to, and I'll answer anything they need me to answer, or I'll always face the music there. But I don't really ever feel like I owe it to anyone else to give them inside information. Or
we were talking about points of pride and the fact that you have been recognized by your peers in your leadership skills to be the head of Players Association. If I were to ask you as the president, and you sit down with the executive director, what are the kind of 2 or 3 big issues coming up, or big issues you're confronting as far as the Players Association?
Well, internally, I think that we have, we're always trying to strengthen just the player involvement, engagement, and really getting everyone to understand that this is your union. Like, it's not a separate. It's not the unions over here and the players over here. It's like the players control everything the union, or the players should control, and really have ownership and accountability, and what the union fight for, how the union is represented. And I think we have not really had that sense of pride in a long time. So I would say like that's the number one thing I would love to accomplish, is when everyone has real like ownership, or feel like the union is theirs. That's my number one.
Is there an issue regarding, certainly read a lot about Steve McMichael just passed away, and they donated his brain, and that aspect of the NFL and brain damage. Is that part of your agenda, or is that a league?
No, yeah, I definitely think it's our job to protect the health and safety and the best interests of the players. Now, you can take health and safety and the best interests a lot of different ways. I think, there's this inherent risk that we're all willing to sign up for and take, but at the same time, we know we have a lot of life to live, and there's, it's not worth giving you all your health up or your life up for it. And I think that, this game can be played in a way that makes it safe enough and protects these players. But I think sometimes from the other perspective, the league side, like they are very money driven, and everyone does stuff for money, but I think they skew too far on the end of like, what's the best business decision. And I think that it's our job to continue to fight against that, and even protect the players when they're not thinking about that. Like some guys like, I'm just gonna go in here, stick my head in here to make the 4th down stop by any means necessary, or do even worse. And I think the union's job is to look out for those players when they're not thinking about themselves and thinking about the future, and kind of be the wiser heads of how these players are represented, and what will come from them down the line.
Just a footnote. Roger Goodell, born in my city.
Oh, wow.
Jamestown, small world.
Wow.
That my daughter Amy, who you met, and she worked for the Tigers. She was pulled away by an organization, and his foundation was designed, and Amy was sort of head of the program for a few years, to work with professional athletes regarding civic education, civic pride, in a sense that since they, an awful lot of people
not Rise, right? Rise, no.
yeah.
Yeah, Rise.
Yeah. And so one of those things where she went to various training camps to kind of teach a little bit about when you are, knowledge. They have knowledge, and when you speak, not tell you what to speak, but know that people listen and do pay attention. It's an educational aspect.
Yep.
Is that part of?
Yeah, we definitely have a education aspect, and I think we definitely something guys have said, like we want to get to a better point. It's hard because there's so much turnover in our league, so it's probably 30% turnover. So you can teach this group of rookies coming in, and you got to restart like every year. So like the turnover, and they come in and they're trying to make a team. Hey, I don't got right now. Just tell me what I need to know. I'm trying to make a team. I'm trying to make a team, and then they become like a veteran. They're in year 3 or 4. Now they're coming up on contracts, and they're worried about their body, and then they might be this might be their last year. They're worried about what's next. So it goes fast from like, I'm just a rookie. I'm just a second-year player. I'm just trying to make the team. And then 3 years later, it's like, well, I'm on my way out. So it's these tight windows. You really gotta, try to tailor them to the stage everyone is in their career. So it's a tough challenge, but something that we got to get accomplished.
Stephen Ross.
Yep, Stephen Ross, Michigan.
Yep. Exactly.
Yep.
Business school named after him.
Yep.
Speaking of business, life after football. What do you see if you're looking at a 5-year crystal ball?
Yeah. So, growing up and then probably through college, I was a sports management major, minor in business at Tennessee. I always thought I wanted to be a scout. I've always saw the game from like a scouting lens, and even I say like when I'm watching the game and I'm supposed to be studying like schemes and concepts, I end up just watching players and like seeing what this guy can do. And I think that's something I do without turning it on. Like I'm constantly evaluating people and on the field and off the field. But now I kind of want to step away from football a little bit. I want to get past the game. So working with the NFLPA, I've done 2 searches for executive directors now. And I've worked with 2 search firms, and that's something I've really enjoyed, is like the executive search firm, finding a fit for a person, evaluating different candidates, which is essentially scouting.
That's right.
In the business world. So I think that's going to be my first attempt of what I get into after football is kind of what I'm planning for.
They're filling out your Wikipedia, and they look at the legacy of Jalen. This is just, your football attributes and accomplishments and legacy. What do you think they'll write?
What do I think they'll write? I mean, hopefully, I think it would say something about just kind of like a respected. What I wanted to say is just like, what do they call Jeter? Like the captain? Like I would want my title to be like the teammate. Like I think I've always tried to be a great teammate and add value wherever needed, wherever saw fit. So like anyone who knows me or played with me, they would say like great teammate, great guy in the locker room, willing to put it on the line. And I guess my role as president, I would just want to say, someone who was steadfast and focused on representing the players. I don't really care to have negotiated this deal or created this system for the players or, one leverage here, which is obviously that's a stat that we all need. But I think that is if the players feel represented. I'm not saying everyone does, because there's people who, don't like my leadership or won't like it. But as a whole, if the players are happy with the way I represented them, that's kind of what I shoot for. So.
You're a very impressive person.
Appreciate it.
I'm not here to blow you up with a glory gun. I've interviewed a few people, but your passion and your conviction.
Yeah. I think that's. I don't know. I guess I've been lucky enough to like accept that about myself, and like there's times I probably need to hold it back a little bit, and like I said, I use my emotion most of the time, I think, for good, and sometimes it might get in the way of the way I see something, but I think I do it in a very honest and integral approach. And I think it just, yeah, I think I seem to be, what I've noticed, I seem to be refreshing to a lot of people. And I don't think I come off in a very like transactional way. And, you know, I'm willing to speak against things I believe in, or like just be honest about a lot of situations. And, you know, I found that to be, I guess, a unique trait. It feels like, well, yeah, that's just the truth, just say that. But yeah, I don't think everyone has it. So I think that's what comes off as refreshing, or, you know, a realness to people.
But your wife just texted me to say you are fortunate because you married so well. Is that right?
Me? Oh yeah, definitely. No, that's a big trait. And I would say, like, I'm not gonna give myself all the credit, but like I think I had a very, like I told you, I always evaluated people. So like I knew who my wife was in middle school, and I remember being in middle school, going to high school, and I was like, yeah, like that's what I'm gonna get when I go to high school. Like I had a crush on her, but like I wasn't saying I was thinking about marriage and kids and we're gonna be all around the world together. But like I think I had a pretty, like, I knew I wanted to talk to her at a young age, and I think I had a more serious approach to life a lot faster than most people around me. But yeah, she was definitely perfect for me, and I think we have a lot of similarities, and, you know, we could kind of make connections through the way we were brought up and our interests. And, you know, I think she definitely has a seriousness and an approach probably more than mine, deeper than mine, to life. And yeah, that was definitely probably my biggest win in my life, because I've seen it go bad, go the opposite way for a lot of people. And this is way too judgmental of people, but I always think, like, I'm usually impressed when someone is able to find their partner at a younger age in life. Like, I think it kind of shows a seriousness or a good judgment that people have. Not to say like you can't do it later in life, but yeah, I think it's like they were willing to make this judgment or these decisions pretty fast. Like, they probably take things seriously.
You did, and you won.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Cool, I appreciate it. No, this is great. It's funny. One of my hobbies is I watch. You know Soft White Underbelly on YouTube? Yeah. It's like probably my most watched content in like the last 10 years of my life. I watch them all the time. So I always watch these type of interviews, and I guess I never even really considered doing it myself. And even when you say you want to do this, I wasn't even thinking about it as Soft White Underbelly. But I've always been just amazed that that guy Mark can just sit down and find these people. Now they are way more out of the loop than I am, or like in every end of the spectrum. But, you know, he sits, and it's amazing that you can sit, put a camera, and just ask a question, and he'll go for an hour and he'll ask like 3 questions. It's like he's doing nothing. He's just sitting there and with the camera, and, you know, just allow people to talk. And yeah, maybe it's like a form of therapy that people get from it, but it's so entertaining, it's so captivating. So
everybody's got a story. When you, just one final one, when you were driving over here with Alexis, and you know this was going to happen, was there a question you expected that I would ask that I have not?
No, I didn't expect anything. I hadn't. It's funny. I'll do this too. Like, I'm not a huge like preparer. I don't, like, I know I have a speech or I have to talk about something, and I'm like, I usually just think of stuff in my head and I'm like, okay, it could go like this. So I don't really prepare. But this, I honestly was kind of like, I don't know what to expect at all. I'll just see, and yeah, there we go. But this was great. I'm definitely glad that we did it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.